Dear all participants, good morning and hope you are all well and good. I'm Vignesh Rashmuniratham, Assistant Manager for Technical and Training in IWMA and your host for the day. On behalf of our IWMA office bearers, executive members, speakers and senior manager, I welcome you all for a 10th webinar session on efficient energy management in industry. Dear all participants, now I welcome our chairman, Mr. K. Bhaskaran, to give us a welcome address. Mr. K. Bhaskaran has served as an executive member and presently the chairman of IWMA. He is also holding the position of secretary in Kakalur Industrial Estate Manufacturing Association and also A6 district chairman for e-waste management in Lions Club. Our chairman is the CEO of Aarti Industries, an electroplating unit located in Ambattur, Kakalur and Padapai. Now I welcome our chairman on behalf of all the participants and the speaker. So welcome for the session, sir.
Thanks, Vignesh. Good morning to you all. Good morning, speakers. Mr. Prem Kumar, sir, I welcome you, sir. And Mr. Nesamani, sir, Joint Director, I welcome you, sir. On behalf of IWMA, a pleasure to welcome you. And I also welcome our industry members, regularly participating members. Thank you once again. I also welcome our Joint Secretary. I also welcome our EC member, Devi Madam, and other EC members, and office team, Saravanan and Vignesh. Actually, IWMA started in the guidance of Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board, and we are handling hazardous waste. For the past 15 to 20 years, we are handling in Tamil Nadu, entire Tamil Nadu. But now it is the volume of this thing is going on, keep on going on. So based on that, we are also expanding our network. We have Madurai, and we are also planning to have in Bargur. Very shortly, it is going to come up with the same site. That is a safe landfill site. Safe landfill site was monitored by IIT Madras in Chennai, and for our Mudipatti site. And our office is in Coimbatore. It is our own office. And for the industry members, what we are doing for the social activities. So if you come up with any problems, like maybe if you want to improve your waste, or you want a reduction of how to reduce your waste, that you can come up with some ideas, or maybe you can come and give us some details. We have a technical teams. See, like IIT Madras, we have tie-up CLRI, and like this, we have so many corporates and scientists are coming forward. They are day by day, every day, at least once in a week or once in 10 days, we are meeting a lot of scientists. Because our strength is you. Because in Tamil Nadu, we have more than, actually, as of now, we have 3,000 industries. That is why scientists are coming and institutions are coming. Because institutions has got the knowledge, so technical knowledge they have. So they can tie up with us, like industry. So example, I am also running an electroplating industry. Say I have some problem, or I want a reduction of my wastewater. Maybe I can go through IWMA. So the charges will be less. For pilot study, we will take care of at least whatever the minimum charges we will take care of. Otherwise, we have to be contribute some amount. So that is the way we are working on it. And our all office bearers, including our secretary and treasurer, joint secretary, and vice chairman, and executive committee members, all are from the different industries. So we are all coming here to serve for the industry only. Again, we are all the same, but the 3,000 industry, we are part of it actually. So we need some solution from the expertise. So nowadays we are approaching expertise. So please do give us your details, so that, say example, this today's program, energy efficiency program. In fact, one of my estate in Kakalur, we are trying this actually for small scale industries. We are trying this. Actually, some of the industry they tried. They spend 40,000 rupees. You will not believe, within a year they got the 40,000 also. by doing this energy efficiency audit, so they made some suggestions on motor and some air compressor, something like that. They given some suggestions. So that has been implemented. By spending all together some 40,000 rupees he has spent. So finally, within 6 months, he got the same amount also. So today's topic is very good topic. Maybe we can listen to Mr. Prem Kumar sir and Mr. Nesamani sir. Same way. Apart from this, like I told you, see, 6-7 years back, we one company has approached for Gutenberg. It's a multinational company. They're having wastewater. That waste, after the wastewater, sludge will come. Sludge again, they will come to us. That is by IWMA through TNWML, they will landfill. So now they are not member of the IWMA because say they are not, now they are not giving any sludge. Everything is being converted into co-processing. So now they are giving it to co-processing only. See what will happen co-processing? See co-processing again, if you give any material to TNWML or IWMA, it will be unnecessarily we are landfilling and we are mounting like mountains. That is affecting our earth. Anyways, it is a scientific landfill only, but still, instead of that, we can reuse it. See, we can give it to cement industry. Cement industry nowadays they want all the hazardous waste. See, segregate and see they need some two type of waste actually. One is for high calorific value they need for to incinerate. Another one is for as a raw material. Sometimes they use for if line content is there, they'll use. So that way they are taking, and they have to take it. That is the government norms actually. CPCB and the Central Pollution Control Board has given, and the State Control Pollution Board also given to them. You have to take minimum 25% of the waste. So now they are coming to us. Even cement industries are opposing us. So if you segregate and give it to them, it will be reused. So we can save our earth. So that is one small example, and a lot of examples are there. Even milk cover, now Avin is taking back milk cover. What they are doing, 10 paise per cover they are giving. If you go to any nearest Avin bulk sellers, they will take the empty covers. It was not there. Government has initiated for Tamil Nadu government. You have to thank the government because again it is going to some industry for making tarpaulin. I've seen that this thing also in Kakulur it is there. So they are again washing it and making into tarpaulin. So again co-processing it. So like that we can use it. It is not the waste. Any kind of waste can be converted, but some technology needs. That technology we can help you out. Not IWMA along with the scientists, because more and more scientists are approaching us. We can give it to them as a project. So they got a pilot study. Even yesterday also we had one very big meeting. Actually, ICW, they have got a very good facility in IIT Madras itself. Incubation center is there. We can give some samples. They will completely. They will study. They will tell you what to do, how to reduce or maybe how to convert into. So that kind of technology they are having. Maybe sometimes we may get some fund also. It is possible. That depends upon the industry to industry, because big level corporate. Maybe some people are already they are approached, and small scale industry we are giving some amount. Example, for electroplating industry we pay them for 25,000 rupees, whatever the charges, like that. And same way for certifications, some of the industries they are asking green core rating certifications. They can approach through IWMA, because instead of CII, if you go through IWMA, the charges will be nominal. So we have got some discount from CII to getting the certificates. So you can come through us. That is also one thing. Apart from this, we are also doing some environment awareness to the students. Every year we conduct environment scientist award to the students. That will be conducted through the IIT Madras. Thanks to IIT Madras, because they are giving a platform to perform the students. The students has to perform. It has to be in the live manner. It is not like googling and taking it, presenting it. No, it's not that. Not like that. So they have to do practical manners. The judges are from IWMA side and IIT Madras, from outsiders. We have judges. So it is a 6 months program, but students are performing, and the performed students, they got a lot of placements also, because that is additional volume. And see, same way we are spreading our environment related activities to the students. Like that, we have recently, last year also we did in Coimbatore. This year, because of this COVID, we are not done, and we will try to do at least, if it is everything is okay, maybe in the end of the December we are going to start. These are all our small activities we are doing it for to save the environment. For industry, please do contact our technical team, and we have a technical team regularly sitting in the office. They will guide you how to connect with the scientists and other big institutions. And today we can listen our energy management, efficient energy management program. Thanks to all. Thank you, Vignesh. Over to Vignesh.
Thank you, sir. Without any further ado, we will start our session for the day with a two expertise speaker, Mr. R. Nesamani and Mr. P. Prem Kumar from Petroleum Conservation Research Association, PCRA. Mr. R. Nesamani had completed his BTech in NIT Trichy. He is a BEE certified energy auditor, conducted more than 30 energy audits and 5 PAT audits for the designated consumers. He is also a lead auditor in the energy management system, implemented the energy management system for few industries. He had more than 100 presentations given at the various seminars and workshops on energy efficiency. He has total work experience of 16 years in various industries like Reliance Energy Limited, GAIL India Limited, worked in LPG and natural gas cross-country pipelines at various locations for 11 years, and presently working for Petroleum Conservation Research Association for 3 years. I would like to invite another speaker for the day, Mr. P. Prem Kumar, sir. Mr. P. Prem Kumar has completed his MTech in Energy Management, and he is a BEE certified energy auditor and also CII certified expert in climate change and environmental sustainability, and CII certificate expert in sustainable waste management. He is a lead auditor of ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, and 5001. Mr. Prem Kumar holds 42 years of experience in electrical projects, maintenance, energy management, and safety management. I welcome both of the speakers for the session, sir. And the screen is for you, and kindly take over the session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. You're loud and clear, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to Mr. K. Bhaskaran, sir, for a warm welcome, and to the host and IWMA for welcoming us for this and giving this opportunity to give a presentation to IWMA members.
Welcome, sir.
Myself, I'm R. Nesamani. I'm a BE certified energy auditor and energy management system lead auditor. At present, I am working as a joint director in PCRA Chennai. Regarding the energy management, if I have to say is that I'll give you a small talk. After that, Mr. Prem Kumar will be giving a presentation. Today, this is the agenda for us. Regarding the energy management, the easiest way to save money is to waste less energy. Means you have to identify where the energy is being wasted, and we have to control the wastage so that you will save a lot of money, because energy cost is the second most incurred cost for any industry. So about our PCRA's activities, we have PCRA was started in 1978. We are into industry sector, agriculture sector, domestic sector. Our main portfolio is like we impact training to people on energy conservation. For example, regarding for industry sector, we have many programs like industrial workshop, institutional training program, and ISO 50001. it is a standard for energy management system. We implement the standard for the industries so that they can continually reduce the energy consumption and energy bill. And the important activity is energy audit. I'll say a few things about energy management and energy audit. See, PCRA's expertise in energy audit is like for the last 25 years, PCRA is conducting an energy audit, and we have conducted more than 12,000 energy audits in various sizes of industries. What we do in our energy audits? Normally, we used to review the energy bills. That is the first step we do. And the contract demand and power factor for their any corrections or for any wastages happening or not. Second is a electrical system network study we will be doing, and harmonic study we will be doing for any energy loss through because of transportation, electrical transportation. Third is we study the motors loading and pump loading percentage. We compare it with its capacity so that we come to know the loading losses, energy loss due to loading, low loading. For this, we study the air conditioning plants and performance evaluation of specialized equipments, like some industries may have boilers, turbines, air compressors, condenser, furnace, hot air generator, DG shed, gas turbine, cooling tower. These utilities we will be doing a performance evaluation as per the BE standards, so that if any loss is happening in these utilities, we will suggest the necessary actions so that we can save energy loss. Regarding the energy management, what is the energy management? Actually, it is nothing but a similar to our, we can say, financial management or health management. What do we do in our financial management? We do a monitoring first and control. We take a controlling and we start conserving our expenses. Same thing applies here also. In energy management also, we do a monitoring. We have to take the data of where the energy is being consumed at various sections or various equipments of the plant, and we will analyze whether it is being consumed normally or any wastage is happening. So the controlling process starts, and then after, if you find out the wastages, then we take a steps for conserving energy. So thereby slowly our energy consumption will start reducing. Thereby our energy bill will come down. This step-by-step procedure is called energy management. The relevant standard is ISO 50001. This is the energy management standard. It will guide us for a continual improvement of the energy performance. So typical steps is like first we have to meter the energy consumption. Then we have to find the energy where we can save energy and where we are wasting our energy. For that, we need to conduct an energy audit. That energy audit will give a detailed report whereby you will know that where the energy is being wasted and all data. And as per the energy audit recommendations, if we start implementing the energy audit recommendations, the energy bill will go down. So these are the typical steps of energy management. And what are the benefits of managing energy? One thing is that it will reduce the energy bill there, so that your energy cost also will come down. If energy cost is coming down, if you see all raw material, everything will be equal for all industries, where we can reduce our cost in energy. So if we reduce the energy cost, our competitiveness will increase. Because of this, our profit also will increase. And for nation, the energy import will reduce and energy security will improve, and a reduction of energy environmental damage. That's a very important thing. And our global warming problem also will get reduced. So this is a small introduction about the energy audit and PCRA and energy management. Now, without wasting much time, I'll hand over the stage to Mr. Prem Kumar sir. He is an eminent speaker from PCRA, Chennai. He will detail you about the various processes and how to reduce your energy bill. Sir, Prem Kumar sir, please.
Yeah.
Sir, 1 second. I thank all of you for giving the opportunity, but we will be posting the attendance list and feedback list. I request all the participants to give attendance list and few participants to give your feedback, please. Thank you.
So good morning to all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are loud and clear, sir.
Yeah, okay. So we'll start with basics slightly. PCR introduction Mr. Nesmini has given. So thank you, sir, for the wonderful introduction and kind words. So energy is a basic the basic definition of potential energy, kinetic energy. But for today's discussion, we will stick to two definitions. One is primary and secondary energy. Primary energy means what is available in nature as it is. For example, wood, water, nuclear, they can be used as it is. So when we discuss with the country, what are the energy resources? That means if we talk of primary only. Secondary means what is derived from the primary is called secondary. For example, electricity is a secondary. So secondary is never referred between country to country. Okay. So the other most important definition is renewable energy and non-renewable energy. So as you say, renewable energy, we have solar, we have hydro, we have wind, etc. Just one question. Is the nuclear energy, is it a renewable energy or not? So we'll keep this question for a minute and we'll move to non-renewable energy. It's called a fossil energy. Fossil energy is the other name. Petrol, diesel, gas, these cannot be replenished. Once used, it is gone. Okay. So nuclear energy, though it is not a fossil energy, it's a non-fossil, but cannot be classified under renewable energy because of the problems of disposal. Okay, so nuclear energy is a non-fossil fuel, but not under renewable, not classified under renewable energy. So we'll move to the next topic, that is global warming. But if you see, Nesmini sir has mentioned about global warming. So global warming is caused by warming of Earth surface due to increased concentration of greenhouse gas emissions. So greenhouse gases, CO2, methane, and all is there. So main sources are fossil fuels for energy, power, industry, transport, household, etc. So what are the impact of these climate changes? In short, if we say the sea level is going to increase. See, jokingly, people used to say, Chennai will not be there, it will get immersed into the sea, and Bangalore will become a coastal city. Okay, very simple. So sensing the danger of global warming, the Paris Agreement was signed. Okay, as it is not 183, it is 193 as what is signed out of 197. So India has also signed it. So let us see the Indian commitment. So nationally determined the contribution of NDCs. So India has committed, they will reduce the intensity 33 to 35% by 2030 from 2005 level. Next is renewable energy. 40% will be by the year 2030. 40% of the resources will be by renewable energy. We will see the steps so far we've taken. Afforestation, that is the carbon sink. What is our carbon dioxide is emitted? It is absorbed by ocean, then by tree and all. So ocean, if it goes on increasing, then we get the acidity increases, then we get acid rain, which is dangerous. More forestation, nearly about 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent of additional forest and tree cover. Okay. So some of the corporates like ITC have already started this. For example, if we take Sikkim, see the state of Sikkim. Sikkim, they say it is carbon positive because they got more trees, more forest cover. But the limitation is we need to have more area. So examples of emission, we see this, all the gases emitted, exhaust emitted from boilers, furnace, etc. So to do the emission reduction, to become carbon neutral, the steps we follow is energy efficiency. That is the first and foremost. We will see how, we will see later. The second option, first if energy efficiency is not feasible or possible, then we go to renewable energy. Then if both the things are not possible, we can supplement through tree plantation. See, tree plantation is not the first option because a tree will take about 4 to 5 years. And at best it can give about, it can absorb about 12 to 20 kg. Okay. But nevertheless it is possible. So we should also encourage tree plantation also. So what are the promotional measures by Government of India? See, one is the PAT cycle. PAT cycle is performed, achieved, trade. Mr. Nesamani has conducted many audits in this, 30 to 40 audits is conducted about it. Standards and labeling. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency is conducting examinations every year. It happens in one Saturday, Sunday, somewhere September. This year this might get delayed. So by which the skill level of the energy professionals are increased. Then energy efficiency is promoted by promoting energy efficiency through star labeling, through standards and labeling, through star rating. Then, for example, the motor rating is gone IE1, IE2, IE3. We will explain in detail as we go further. What is the step of Government of India? What they are doing. Then, for example, similarly, distribution transformer, which is the largest source of power consumption, the largest power consumer. The new standard has been introduced in 2014, IS 1180, which we will discuss in detail. So, before seeing the energy efficiency, we will see the renewable energy, what Government of India has done this. By 2020, the Government of India has set a target of 175 gigawatts. Out of these 175 gigawatts, 100 gigawatts is by solar, 60 gigawatts from wind, 10 gigawatts by biomass. Small hydro, that is, small hydro is 2 megawatts to 25 megawatts is termed as small hydro. 5 gigawatts. And something about waste heat, through waste heat recovery. That's also considered as the renewable energy. So, as on October 2019, the country has achieved nearly 82 gigawatts. The figures in the bracket, 32, 36, and all has been what has been achieved now. So, this is very encouraging. When the review was happened in 2018, the picture was gloomy. In October 2019, the picture was more encouraging. And once the COVID situation is there, definitely India is confident of achieving the target of 175 gigawatts. This is one of the encouraging moments for us. And this becomes we are the fourth largest renewable energy in the world, next to China, US, and Germany. So this is not the end of it. The government is they are planning to double it by 2030, so that we meet by 40% of the power requirement is met by renewable energy. So as on that, nearly 22% is met by renewable energy. See, this is taken up very seriously. Even railways are working with solar energy, solar PV. Even solar PV trains are under trials now. Hopefully, we expect in a year or two, the trials to get over, and we can definitely say we can definitely travel by solar power trains. The solar power trains are nothing but where the solar PV is installed over the roof of the trains. The power is supplemented, the battery. The battery power is supplemented by this. So of course, so that the diesel consumption will be reduced. Okay. So one of the gloomy situation is the oil will last only for 20 years. Gas is only last for 36 years. Of course, coal has got some time, but it has got its own issues. So we need to depend on other countries, especially Middle East, Venezuela and all. So our energy security is always under threat. So that is one of the reasons why Government of India or BCRA is conducting this program on voluntary basis for college students, final year college students. Even though we conduct through online programs, then industries on a voluntary basis we educate them so that the energy consumption, if it starts from home. So the last year it seems the energy bill was around 9 lakh crores. So even if 1% is reduced, we can have about 9,000 crores can be saved, and above all, the energy security can be achieved better. So this is the crux of the program. Apart from this, we can also meet the emission targets, and we can create a conducive environment for the future generations. The lifestyle will be better. All those things are there. So energy conservation, of course, we discussed earlier. So let us go to the concepts of energy conservation and energy efficiency. So both are used interchangeably. So let us see the difference for a while. Suppose you are sitting in your office now with lights on. Suppose somebody opens the windows and lets the daylight inside. So because of the light intensity, it will permit you are permitted to switch off the lights, which results in a saving of electricity or energy. So this is conservation. Suppose this webinar happens at 8 p.m. and you are watching from your home. Opening the windows is not going to help you. There is a compulsion to go in for artificial lighting. That use the energy efficiency measure by using LED or CFL, whatever it is. So use the energy efficiency measures to achieve conservation. First, you try to achieve the conservation. That conservation is not possible or feasible, use the energy efficiency route. So next one is the life cycle costing. See, unfortunately, most of us, we see the first cost of it. Whenever we buy any equipment, we see the first cost. So let us say that we are going to buy a motorcycle today at a cost of around 1 lakh rupees. And we are using it for about 10 years. So after 10 years, we calculate the life cycle cost. This 1 lakh rupees you have invested elsewhere, that must have multiplied multifold. So let us keep it as the cost, the capital cost as A. You would have done a lot of maintenance during these 10 years. So let us say that is around, you would have repaired the thing, then you would have replaced oil, then replace the broken parts, etc. Let us say that is a B. Then the fuel cost, you would have run the fuel cost. Fuel cost, let us see C, let us assume it as C. If you calculate it, if you analyze it at the end of 10th year, at the end of the life cycle, the energy cost will be predominant, nearly 88 to 88%. So this is the area of focus. This our focus area should be on the fuel cost rather than on the capital cost. So friends, this is an important message. So whenever you are designing a new equipment, new system, or looking for replacement, so consider the life cycle cost. So what are the principles of energy conservation? So energy conservation should never be done where you are going to affect the HSE, that is health, safety, environment. Thoroughly understand the process. Do not adopt slipshod measures and look for short-term gains. Without understanding process, never attempt energy conservation. So the best time to consider energy conservation is the design stage. Energy conservation should be through teamwork. So always keep upgrading the knowledge of and skill level of intern team, like other areas. Then appropriate measurement system for proper measurement and monitoring. Where measurement is not possible, monitoring is also not possible. So consider the measurement system for monitoring right at the initial stage itself. Ensure operating condition as per the design. Next is awareness of startup and shutdown loss. What is the startup loss and what is shutdown loss? Let us say you are going to start, you are running a furnace. The furnace, let us say the process will start at 500 degrees. From ambient temperature to reach this 500 degrees anyway, that energy will be spent, but it will be of no use. But nevertheless, it is required. That is a startup loss. Likewise, the shutdown loss, whenever you want to do maintenance or shut it down, from this 500 degrees to ambient temperature, this energy is going to be wasted. So that is, we should be aware of the startup loss, shutdown loss immediately. This can be for anything, for air conditioning, similarly for DG sets. Nowhere it is possible, most of the areas, it is not possible to see the instantaneous. Then technology upgradation, wherever possible and feasible. Automation where feasible. And there are some more points like waste management should be in place. Suppose your disposal mechanism is not in place. Even for landfilling, will be wasting energy. So when you are able to reuse the waste, this energy spent on disposal, energy disposal, for example, transport, or even landfilling or incineration, this energy can be saved actually. So waste management is very important and goes hand in hand with energy conservation. So if we have a robust system of energy, the waste management system, then your energy wastage will be reduced. So this is very important, and this is the most appropriate forum to discuss about this. But today, due to paucity of time, we are not going to touch upon that. However, I request the participants to keep this in mind and work on them. So again, startup and shutdown loss is in. Measurement and verification system should be possible. The control system should be in place in the initial stage itself. For example, you want to check up the control system. Let us say the temperature control system. The PID control system or the stage control system should be in beginning itself. Similarly, you take the nature. For example, air conditioning, it will work more in summer. It has to work less in winter. So we should have a mechanism for RPM reduction. For example, VFD should be in place. Okay. So review mechanism is very important. So there are many things. A few are given. I'm sure if you think about it for your own industry, you can make many things. Request you to make a checklist and monitor it periodically. So that will give a very good mechanism for it. So energy audit methodology, Mr. Nesamani is explained in detail. We have to know the inputs, all the inputs. We should study the output, because the energy audit should be conducted for equipments which are operated to full load. So for partially loaded equipments, partially replaced equipments, underloaded equipments, energy audit could be misleading and it is not worth it really. So again, losses, coming to losses, there are two types of losses. One is avoidable losses and unavoidable losses. I will give an example for avoidable losses. Let us take a DG set. The diesel leakage is an avoidable loss. The flue gas, which goes away, is unavoidable loss. It is anyway necessary. Of course, now we have to, after attending to addressing to all these avoidable losses, unavoidable losses, we can think of waste heat recovery and all, which is a little expensive. The first priority should be to address the avoidable losses, which is straight and can be done immediately. So encounter design stages, first thing is the building orientation. North facing buildings will definitely yield more light and more, it will support your ventilation. Lifestyle is very important. Some companies, for example, let us say material handling movements. Some companies follow this spider movement. Some companies follow this forklift movement. So this lifestyle also will affect your energy conservation seriously. Look for energy efficient equipments. You will see one or two examples. The layout is very important. Especially the costly utilities to be placed as close as possible where it is possible and feasible. Single and multiple equipments. This is another important area. For example, in one company, when they were deciding the transformers, so they had gone for a demand of around 2,500 kVA. The company has gone for 2,500 kVA, two numbers. When it was questioned, they said one transformer fails, the other transformer will be taken to conservation. So the transformers being a very reliable equipment, 99.9999 equipment, 99% uptime. What is the need for going for a second equipment? So ideal investment to be avoided. And one more thing is the no-load losses will also contribute to energy wastage. Similarly, you take the air conditioning. We do not design the air conditioning for peak load. Peak load appears only about maximum of 10 to 15 days in a year, that too only for a short period. So it is always worth going for the average load. Have multiple units. Use it during the peak time. Here again, the company is going for, they consider the rental option. So they hire it for a month or two during peak season and they return it back. So flexible control system for variable loads we discussed earlier, the air conditioning example. Process of the climate change we discussed earlier. So having seen this, we will move on to energy saving at home. So energy saving should start at home. So how to do energy auditing at home? So first thing is my suggestion, we have done energy audits in certain homes. You take the billing for the whole year, complete year, January to December. Work out the consumption, because due to climate changes, due to various changes, the energy keeps varying. Then take out the mean value, or some people will take the maximum value, some people will take the minimum value, or some will take the average value. Set out a target, or 10% or 15%, whatever it is possible. Then month on month, you start comparing it. Apply the life cycle costing for especially older equipment. For example, the ceiling fans would have been installed 25 years back, 25 years ago. So look for the replacement. Also look for the avenues of natural usage, where we can use the ventilation, where we can put windows, where we can use the solar heating For example, in place of geysers, the use of washing machines, we can use the sun for drying. So look at the lifestyle, have a really good revisit the areas and try to save energy here. So the next one is the standards and labeling equipments. You would have seen the equipment's star rating. Bureau of Energy Efficiency is the only agency. The star rating is valid only for a limited period. For example, what is 5-star today could be 3-star or 4-star after 3-4 years. So beyond the point, this is true. The Government of India through Bureau of Energy Efficiency has introduced star rating to help the customers and to eradicate the inefficient products. Slowly, steadily, the inefficient products are phased out. For example, single-star products today will not be existent, will be non-existent after 2-3 years. This is done regularly for industries also, which we will discuss during the course of presentation. So consider star rating. It might appear today, initial cost, say for example, a 5-star rated product may be a little higher. But applying the life cycle costing principle, you will be able to recover the cost within a matter of around 18 months to 24 months. See, most of the equipment, household equipments, or a minimum life has got about 10 years. So definitely you'll be able to recover the cost, apply the life cycle principle here. So having seen this, we will see some of the equipments. So we'll start the easiest equipment, lighting. So for commercial building is 5 to 10%. Industries normally is 1.5 to 2%. Some industries where assembly is there or service shops are there, 10% should be there. So this is the life cycle cost here is, initial cost is only 15%, operating cost is around 85%. So here the lumens, the lux, the efficacy of lighting is designated by lumens per watt. The important parameter is the color entering index. Colors of surfaces, whatever you see in the sunlight is the true color. For example, if you see the same color, same paint color, if you see it under sodium buffer lamp, it would give a distorted color. Luckily for LED tube lights, it is very close to sunlight. So CRI is given by 100%. Okay. So whenever you're considering the shade difference, for example, paint shade and shade matching, even today you see in jewelry shops and cloth shops, the whole light is put. GLS light has got the best thing. So always to check up the CRI, the color entering index before suggesting any change in the light source. So this is given here. If you can see, LED is very high. So tube lights, long back was 38 watts. Then it became 36 watts, and today T5 lamps are there. Slim lights, 28 watts. Most of the companies have got T5 lamps. Probably it will take some more time for them to completely eliminate it. That is why I have included in the presentation. Okay. We'll skip this. The color entering index is given here. A rose, 85% will see the more true color rather than 65% you can see distorted color. Lighting distribution industry, low bay fittings of 5 meter, medium bay 5 to 7 meter, high bay fittings 7 meters. So again, lighting, my request will be, it is to understand it's a separate subject. Lighting specialist needs to be consulted rather than deciding our own side and end up in a later different issues. That is why even architects, the owners of the lighting subject, they also tend to consult the lighting experts. So lighting is no longer a layman subject, it is a subject, and one needs to enhance the skill in lighting. These are some of the case studies where the high bay fitting is a T5 fitting is replaced the high bay fitting. So lighting control is very important. It is recommended to have a separate lighting source, lighting distribution transformer. So the discharge lamps, we can reduce the voltage. With LED, this is of no use. This measure will become obsolete. So okay, let's skip this. LED lifetime is around 10 years, even 1 lakh hours. So manufacturers offering a warranty of 10 years or even 5 to 6 years is no issue at all. It's not a big thing. For example, even if you run it for 24 hours, 365 days, in a year you may consume around 8,000 hours. So 6 years means 50,000 hours. So life is much more than that. So the manufacturer is offering a warranty of 5 to 6 years is not a big deal. Still, why LED fails? We'll see as we move forward. So replacing 150 watt street light with 30 watt street light, you can see the wattage reduction. You get the payback in 17 months. Very long life, very less maintenance. So inventory cost of lamp is also reduced. Your power factor is improved. See, because of the chip no touch shocks. Advantages, long lives, improved power factor. But it's got only one disadvantage. Heat management is a problem. So going for reputed manufacturers, some people they purchase immediately for initial cost reduction, they buy a Chinese made iPhone in one area. It is failed within 200 hours. Okay, relatively expensive. Shortly we can expect the prices to come down. So next option is the light pipe. The solar pipe uses the natural lighting to bring the natural light to the shop floor so that the lights can be, the artificial lighting can be switched off during the day. We will see one or two cases. This is a site which has got a daylighting, a workshop. So the workshop was using 15 numbers of 250 watt high bay lights. So they installed it. So the appears like this. So the payback was around 24 months. But what happens is in some of the winter seasons, in cloudy days, it can be supplemented with artificial lighting. Both can work in tandem. The only disadvantage is we don't have dimming operation. Whatever we get, we have to use it as it is. But of course, now they say dampers are available, which I have not seen, I have not come across. So other reason is maximum utilization of natural lighting. So combination of daylighting and artificial lighting. So nowadays, even the motorized lights are available. Okay, to focus and to maximize the usage of it, usage of daylighting. Sensors are used to detect the natural lighting. And there are some case studies which are already implemented in the industry. One company is using 400 watts mercury vapor lamp. It has a height of around 7 meters. It was brought down to say about the working level of 3 meters. They used a T5 lamp. Very comfortable. And they supplemented by daylight utilization. Another company is where the greenery is even more important. The trees have grown more, so it is hiding. So the company has reduced it. The lesser wattage, of course, number of lights have to be increased. But nevertheless, the environment needs to be protected. As I told, environment is the priority over energy. So having seen that, we will move to the electrical system. The most important thing is the transformers. Transformers work for 24 hours. So many times we forget to look at the efficiency of a transformer. No doubt transformer efficiency is around 98%. Still, this 1% can give you more savings. 98 and 99, if it goes itself, it's a higher one, it could go good savings. So Government of India has introduced this standard in the year 2014. And they issued a circular saying that all transformers should be manufactured after 2014 December should be as per this standard. Later on, I will introduce under this standard, there are 3 classes. It is level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is a standard one. Level 2 is energy efficient. Level 3 is more energy efficient. Of course, level 3 will be costlier. Level 1 is the cheapest one. Then now, slowly they phased out the level 1 transformers. Level 1 transformers are no longer available in the industry, no longer manufactured. And a consumer is compelled to go in for level 2 only. This is how the Government of India is slowly introducing the energy efficiency concept. Similarly, for motors, IE1 is no longer manufactured, only IE2 is the minimum. And sooner or later, IE2 will also get phased out, and one has to go in for super efficiency. I mean, IE3 motors only. And we'll have to see a case study. In a transformer, you have to see the standards here. What standard is being manufactured? So this is standard. So let us see a case study where one consultant is required to inspect a transformer. The company was promoted by a French company. The French expatriate was sitting in Chennai. So he was sent for inspection in the year 2017. To his great surprise, he found the transformer was manufactured as per the old standard IS 2206. Okay, that is which follow these norms. IS 110, even the level 1, the least one, specifies this one. So before conducting the test, the consultant questioned the manufacturer. The manufacturer replied, sir, a lot of nominations are prepared and transformers are made, and some consumers, some electricity board has not lifted it. So please take this. We will give a good reduction in the price of transformer. The French expatriate was willing to take it up because obviously he was not aware of this life cycle costing. But the consultant insisted on this and returned without inspecting it. See, the French expatriate has no choice but to request the transformer manufacturer to manufacture as per this standard, as per new standard. And inspection was delayed by 3 months, no doubt about it. Case 1, had we gone with this, he would have spent every year 21 kilowatts. Okay, will be lost for every hour, he will be losing. But as for the new one, it was giving only 13.53. Since he has gone for this, of course, the low loss was expensive. The extra capital cost, the French expatriate has to spend around 10 lakhs. But since he has already freezed the price, he refused it. And the savings around was 5.2 lakhs every year. So even if he had agreed for this, he would have got a simple payback after a period of 2 years. But the French expatriate was lucky that he enforced the contract and made it to that. Luckily, in the contract, he has made it to be as per the relevant latest standard. And the order was released somewhere in 2016, so he got away with that. But even then, it is worth investing on the new transformer. The transformer life is nearly 25 years. And the life cycle saving will be 120 lakhs. So this case study proves that life cycle costing is very important. Always look at the loss at the beginning. While deciding equipments, please look at it. So friends, when you're looking for considering the replacement of your transformer or for your new transformers for new projects or expansion, please look at this trend line, because most of you will be operating at 11 kV. So again, power quality is very important. Sometimes we fail to measure we fail to notice the unbalance between voltage, RY, VB, VR. The unbalance is calculated by the maximum difference of the highest voltage minus the lowest voltage divided by the average of the or the mean of the voltages. So if it exceeds 2%, the motor will tend to get heated up by about 10 degrees more, which will reduce the life by about 4 years. So beware of this, and the losses are very high. These are all hidden losses. So frequency is very important. And the important thing is harmonics are very important. So that is why we mean by waveform. Of course, now the TANGEDCO started implementing the harmonics as per IS, IEEE 519 latest standards. So whenever you are dealing with nonlinear loads, ensure that you impress upon the manufacturer to take the necessary checks and necessary steps such as the filters or chokes, and follow the installation guidelines to ensure minimum of harmonics. So we go to the electric motors, which is the most popular equipment in the industry. Nearly 70% of the energy is consumed by electric motors. And without electric motors, there is no industry. Choose the right type of motors. Never undersize it. In one case, where the company was considering around 45 new equipments, the supplier supplied with a 10% overrated motors. The consultant objected to these because the maximum demand is going to increase and unnecessary wastage of power will be there. At least the customer could not take it up. At least the second factory, they understood the implication. They were able to optimize the size of the motors. See what happens is the equipment supplier already gives an allowance of 10%, and over above this, the standardization. For example, we don't have a motor for 6 HP. We necessarily there's going for 7.5 HP. And this 7.5 HP itself, we were going to oversize it. Then you can imagine the sizing event. If you see the curve, there is a loss of efficiency, loss of the no-load losses, unnecessary wastage of energy. So voltage imbalance has to be taken care. So energy efficient motors need to be taken care, but just ensure the specification is very important. Energy efficiency motors, the starting current will be higher, and the slip is going to be more, so which could result in more RPM. Sometimes energy efficient motor after installation will result in more energy usage. So take care of the specifications. Again, non oversize the motors. For example, in a compressor, I saw they used IE4 motors, super energy efficiency motor, but they are given a service factor of 25%. The purpose itself is defeated. So when you are considering the VFD motors, check with the manufacturer whether it's suitable for inverter duty motors. Sizing is very important. Motors are very friendly equipments. All it requires is the minimum maintenance. And even if you don't do that, then it will result in wastages and loss of life. So rewinding, never rewind it more than 3 times. Every time you rewind, it will result in a loss of around 3 to 5%. So more than 3 times, look for replacement with energy efficient motors. So again, motors, there are 1 or 2 case studies. Idle running is a waste of energy. So use a control system. So whenever it is more than 5 minutes, switch it off. So here they had this company had a big a very large coolant tank. The company is following TPM. The Kaizen team, the operator team, studied this and found that the sizing can be reduced, and where 4 motors are used, a single motor is used, and this is horizontally deployed, resulting in substantial energy saving of the equipment. So at home, now we are using a superfan concept has come. So superfan is introduced by a company called Versa Drives in Coimbatore. It's a patented product. The normal energy efficient fan consumed around 70 to 75 watts. Super fans consume only 35 watts. And they are giving 5 years of warranty and not affected by the voltage fluctuations because it uses the BLDC, brushless DC motors. Seeing this, one more manufacturer has introduced in Mumbai. Is an IIT graduate. I know the brand name is, I think, Gorilla Fans. I think it is some equipment is there. Recently, I found TVS, Lucas TVS has introduced that green fans. They carry a 3-year warranty. I think they consume around 29 or 30 watts, 32 watts, I think, I'm not sure of it. So consider this for your domestic applications as well as for your office. And this will help you substantial savings. Here is a test conducted by the company which replaced it. Nearly 100 numbers were replaced in 2016. This is a real life study. Okay, so specifications are given. You can see ordinary fan 75 watts, this is 35 watts. So next we move to the important thing. Most of the equipment, 95% of the equipments use air compressor. And this is the most inefficient equipment and most costliest resource. Air is free, but compressed air is very expensive. Because the efficiency of compressed air system, I'm not telling compressor alone, compressor system, which comprises of compressed air, compressor, the receivers, then we have the pipelines, FRL units, it consumes only 10%. So here we should be very careful in sizing the compressor. One company for an R&D company, for a mere usage of 100 CFM, they had gone for 750 CFM. And most of the time it was running in unloaded condition. They could have gone with 200 CFM or at least 100 CFM should be affordable. Or in case future equipments are there, the consultant has recommended one number of 200 CFM initially can be supplemented when they go in for expansion. So location is very important. For every 4 degrees, that is why we find the energy consumption during winter is low. November, December, January is low. April, May is higher. So try to cool the air. Later on case study is there, I'll show you. Cool the incoming air. This is the same for DG sets as well as for compressor. Every 4 degrees result in 1% more. The altitude is very important. Sometimes some companies, they resort to usage in the sister company. In one company using in Chennai, as a 200 CFM compressor was shifted to a company using in at Kunur. Without derating, they used it, and because the performance is poor, ensure this derating factor. So air should be dry. Cooling water is also an important factor. So where the water cooled compressors, ensure that the scaling is not there, water quality is better, should be improved. So efficacy of intercoolers is more important because compressor is very hot. For every 5.5 degrees inlet temperature, 2% increase will be more. So the cooling circuit should be important. So where intercoolers are there and aftercoolers are used, there will be no saving, but of course the moisture reduction will be, the compressor quality can be improved. Pressure setting is very important. It is standard for many companies to follow the standard pressure. but it is always important to revisit machine to machine and adopt only the required pressure. Where multiple pressures are there, better to go in for low and high pressure requirements. In areas like STP, sewage treatment plant, where the pressure is low, 1 to 1.5, use low F in place of compressors. So it will be a good practice to measure the pressure drop randomly at a time. A pressure of 0.3 bar is very good. If it is 0.45 bar, one needs to see the leakage or the sizing should be taken care. Many times during expansion, the compressed air is already taken care. Is already looking at it, and the compressed air size, the pipe sizing is ignored. So the leakage test needs to be done. It doesn't need a big equipment, It needs only a stopwatch. Nowadays, mobiles can do the job. Shut down the equipment's usage, start the compressor, measure the time of loading and unloading. And there's a very simple formula, actual flow into T divided by T plus T. So one company, they wanted to quantify it. The company was working for 5,000 hours, 2 shifts in a year. The most preferred size was 6.4, a very popular size. They wanted to find out if the leaks goes unnoticed, unattended. The company was spending 6 rupees per unit. So the wastage will result to around 6 lakh rupees. Today the cost is close to 8 rupees. Okay, the pressure used was around 7 bar. You can imagine the cost. So ensure that you attend the leaks as early as possible at the earliest opportunity and create an awareness among the machine users, operators. So this is one area where the compressed air, the hot air is being exhausted out. So this resulted in a good saving for the compressor. So the company was planning to expand by buying a new compressor. So this was stopped by this measure. One more measure they could have done is they could have insulated this. This could have resulted in a better one was further savings. So capacity utilization, decentralization is always better. Smaller compressors is there. Sometimes some companies work on Sundays. Again, working on a Sunday to manage the small dispatch units. Running a larger compressor is really worthless and result in wasteful expenditure. So in this one, you can have a smaller compressor or you can hire it for a few days. The hiring concept can be done. Or where there is a fluctuating load, going for VFD. So good practices are there. Install ring mains, install air receivers, create storages. Okay, then you use smaller volumes as possible. Where it is not possible, go for booster compressor retailants. Okay, this is the extension of the case study which I showed. See that what was 32 degrees, it was taken in the month of April. The intake air was reduced to 26 degrees. The saving was around 38,000. I mean, 3,800. That company at the time was spending around 10 rupees per month. Nearly 35 to 36,000 can be saved easily every month. The HVAC, again, sizing is very important. Sizing it for the normal load rather than the peaking. So reduce the evaporator, reduce the condensate temperature, increase the evaporator temperature. So while sizing, consider the peak and average, as we discussed earlier. Consider multiple units, or at least look at the hiring concept, going for average thing. So this is in a domestic truck. No, it's not, I'm not even getting the zoom. So you can see when the setting is around 27 degrees, your monthly bill, you can save around 6,000 rupees. The office is operating at 18 degrees. When they increase to 27 degrees, they can save around 6,000 rupees per year. But when you increase it to 24 degrees, you can save it to 3,900. Due to COVID situation, organizations such as ISRO has recommended to adopt a minimum setting of 24 degrees, and all government institutes have already resorted to 24 degrees. My recommendation is going for 25 to 26 degrees and supplemented with ceiling fan, which could result in substantial saving, besides good comfort also. Cold room, get door opening operated by unskilled labor, educate the team. Temperature control is important, calibrated. Monitor the result, relative humidity also. So you minimize the opening and closing, the loads that you planned well. The pumps and fans follow the affinity law, both follow the same rule. You see the pumps, let us discuss the case of pumps and extend it to the fans also. During summer, pumps are to work more. During monsoon season, it is to work less. The choice is to have two different pumps. One smaller pump for the monsoon season, larger pump for the summer season. The other option will be going for VFD. If you reduce by 10%, your flow will get reduced by 10%. Whereas the pressure will get reduced by 19%. Power will get reduced by 27%, cube time. So this is applicable only for centrifugal equipment. The centrifugal compressor, centrifugal pump, centrifugal fan, it is applicable. This is not applicable for axial. Okay. So DG set is very similar to that. Selection is very important. Many times the buy a standard DG set and try to size it. Take the support of the DG set supplier for selection. Nowadays, all the options are the rental becomes a more viable option because of the improved power quality from the Tangentco LCD board. It is better to rent it. So voltage is very important. Ensure that you get a balanced voltage. Frequency when read at 49 is okay. Need not reduce at 50 cycles per second or 50 hertz. Balance loads. So this is very important. Many times companies resort to power factor improvement only for transformer area. When they run DG, they forget it. Improving the power factor up to 0.95, 0.93. We can substantially save the fuel. But ensure you don't run it in leading power factor. APFC will be a good option. Ensure the power quality or harmonic free, or going for filters. Detune filter could be a good option. Then cool dry air, ambient temperature is very important for DG as well as compressor. In summer you can see the overloading. Air cooled is water cooled. We have found that air cools are all equally efficient, though we slightly spend more on the efficiency. Water cooled present maintenance issues and results in wastage of water. Because personally I feel water saving is more important than energy saving. Before this, I want to give you one more input. By saving 1 unit of power, 1 unit of energy, it is found that 120 liters of water can be saved because thermal power plant is the largest consumer of water. So whenever you save power, whenever you save energy, there will be a saving in water also. Please let us keep this in mind. Water saving is not today's topic. However, I want to emphasize this point as it is very important. Lubrication is very important. Another thing is lubricant selection is very important. And many times the lubricants or extended life is being used without bothering about frictional losses. One side you save a small amount in the extending life of lubricant, resulting in a larger wastage of energy, wastage in frictional losses. This should be taken care. Consider the lubricants supplier. The parameter needs to be monitored unless your gives a healthy parameter such as TBN or TAN. never resort to extent of life. Disposal issues we discussed earlier. Okay, I want to give a small case study. The company is using furnace oil, DG said. So they were using a lubricant of a recommended the manufacturer by a particular company. The procurement team wanted to save cost. They suggested they went in for alternate make. The company, the maintenance team had no option but to follow the recommendation of the procurement team. Within 50% of the running hours, the whole lube oil was carbonized and was replaced. It resulted in unnecessary wastage of labor, downtime, because the company was using furnace oil continuous basis. This is very important. Then they have to waste. These are all virtual wastage. Hidden wastage is more. Obviously, they are not taken care. The life cycle costing was not done, was not in place. Resulted in a huge waste. So beware of this. So environment is very important. Leaks to be attended. The operating condition need to be maintained. Insulation to be attended periodically. Condition monitoring will help you a lot in energy wastage. So Mr. Nesamani was already emphasizing the importance of the need of ISO 50001. I had a very interesting experience in a similar presentation when I was giving a similar presentation in a company. The factory manager was sitting there as a participant. He asked me, sir, we are already using ISO 14001, where as the name of resource conservation, we are already saving energy. Why is ISO 3001 adopting? How is it going to benefit me? So I asked him few questions. Sir, every year, do you know whether energy bills are being monitored? I'm not sure. He said, I don't know. There is a budget reduction in energy. No, sir, I don't. I'm not sure. How much you are saving every year? No, sir, I get every year. Before the audit, I get some expense approval. I approve it. And something is shown and the environment auditor sees it and walks back. Do you monitor that? Is it externally? Then he recollected and told me, sir, every year use to plant the trees in June 5th, Environment Day. Hundreds of trees are planted, but that's it. Every year we keep planting trees, but without bothering what happened in the previous year. You don't monitor the performance. I told him, sir, ISO 50001, this gives them documented performance. Similarly, the energy efficiency is monitored. Energy conservation is monitored. The plans are reviewed, and then no project can be removed or no project can be added without the knowledge of the team or management, top management. For example, some people will say by using pneumatics, power will be saved. The next man will say, no, by using hydraulics, it will be saved. So no one gets a clear feeling of it. The most important thing, the projects can be prioritized. That is by using a concept called significant energy usage. So the standard has been revised now. ISO 3001-2011 has been revised to 2018 standards, which gives more room for integrating with other standards. So following ISO standards is no longer a punishment. It will definitely help our job to better, help the management to monitor for better monitoring and better cost saving. So I would strongly recommend for companies who are already who are not yet implemented ISO 50001, please consider this seriously. Implementation of ISO 50001. PCRA also can be given introductory training on ISO 50001, provided the number of participants should be minimum 20. Please write to us. Similarly, PCRA can also conduct training for your own team, maybe for at operator level. We can talk in Tamil also. So to impress upon the need for energy conservation. So that's all, friends, I have for you in this short time of 1 hour and 10 minutes. So energy conservation is a very long time. For IWMA, I want to thank them personally. Actually, I forgot at the beginning. I have a special, TCR has got a special thanks for them because already we have done a program for them in the year 2019. When we did the program in March 2019 and subsequently repeated in September 2019, the program was started at 10:15. I still remember the timing because I was the one who conducted the program. And when the program was getting over at 4:20, participants are still bombarding us with more questions, more doubts and all. Because we were very happy they were serious in implementing it. So thanks IWMA, thanks the participant for patient hearing. In case of any questions, please post it. We are ready to answer that. Thank you for that.